Show with Andy Herman from 8 to 9 in the morning, 9 to 11, the Mason Crosby Show with Mitch Thundernellis, presented to you by Verizon, number one in the Milwaukee market. Don't forget the leadoff show, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. That comes up tonight at 5 o'clock with Tommy Wirtz, getting you ready for Brewers and Dodgers. You can stream all of those shows as well. Wisconsin Sports Weekend with Charlie Usen, who is off today. Jack Pembroke filling in for him. Those two co-host that show Saturday mornings from 9 to 11. They also stream their show. So make sure to check that out and follow, like, subscribe, all those fun things they say whenever you watch anybody else on YouTube. So make sure to do that for us as well. Craig Kashan, FanDuel Sports Network, Brewers and Bucks analyst, does pre- and post-game shows for both Brewers and Bucks. He joins us coming up today at 2:40. And looking forward to talking to him because so many different things going on with the Brewers and with the Bucks. Obviously, now deals becoming official with the Milwaukee Bucks. The Miles Turner deal becomes official today. The Pat Connaughton trade became official today as well. So as more and more of these things continue to happen, the more and more we'll have to talk about. So we'll get Craig Kashan's thoughts on that, his thoughts on Ryan Rollins re-signing to a 3-year deal with the Bucks. All of that coming up at 2:40. Charlie Sounds of the day today, Jack Sounds of the day, as Jack Pembroke gets to pick his 3 clips of the day that he'll play for me coming up at 3:40. Green and Gold Update brought to you by the Potawatomi Sportsbook coming up at 4 o'clock. And we may have some issues with Pro Football Focus yet again, this time concerning their offensive line rankings. We'll get into that at 4 o'clock. And then things we missed coming up at 4:40. Okay, so got to start off with the Milwaukee Brewers. Mainly because the Brandon Woodruff story is too good not to talk about, right? I mean, this dude hasn't pitched in a couple of years. First batter goes like this.
Catching Woodruff for the first time ever. 1-2 pitch. Struck him out. Welcome back, Big Lou.
First batter. He wasn't throwing 98. No. He wasn't even throwing 96, 97 at that first batter. He got a couple of strikeouts right there in the very first inning. Brandon Woodruff didn't walk a batter in that baseball game. Haven't pitched in 2 years. 2 years it's been. Not only did he do that, but his velocity seemingly was going up as the game was going on. The velocity of his fastball was climbing the more pitches he threw in that baseball game, which is not what happened in Jacob Mizorowski's last start, where he was clocking 100 or more that first inning, and then by the time he left, it was down to like 96, 95. Was not doing the exact same thing. A 3-1 victory for the Milwaukee Brewers yesterday. Brewers now 50-40. Woodruff officially 6 innings, 2 hits, a run, a home run, and 8 strikeouts on the day. And if we really want to talk about it, the same dude that hit the home run was the same dude, Hernandez, that had both hits. The one for Hernandez, he wouldn't have given up a hit in that damn game. Hernandez was the one guy that had his number. Check this out. I think Tommy Wirtz made this. Here's Brandon Woodruff strikeouts from FanDuel Sports Network.
Struck him out. And he got him low to Ramirez. Got him. Struck him out. Got him.
I have a question for you. With Levering doing play-by-play on TV, I love it. Should he have a signature strikeout call? Because if you hear it there, he doesn't really. Because, again, it changes to his credit.
Struck him out.
Struck him out, okay.
And he got him low to Ramirez.
Got him.
Got him.
Got him.
I like the third one.
Struck him out.
Struck him out. So it's got him or struck him out. Should he like focus in on one signature strikeout call when he gets it, right? Like you create his home run call, whatever else.
Sure.
Should Levering find that strikeout call, Jack Pembroke?
I like the third. Got him.
Got him. Yeah. You sell T-shirts.
Hone in
got
on that.
Him.
Got him.
Right. Sell the T-shirts that say "got him" out across the top, the whole front, and then you market those things and you do your thing. I'm just saying, I think Levering's very good. So I'm not trying to nitpick the heck out of Levering. I'm just trying to look for a way to find that signature for him for maybe strikeouts, because he's going to be calling a lot of them. And Mizorowski's going to be up here if Woodruff is back. Peralta's striking out dudes. Like there's going to be quite a few to call between now and the end of the season if you look at this rotation. Now I love the fact that Brandon Woodruff came back and looked as well as he did. Let me tell you about another guy that nobody else is really talking about. And I brought it up on Twitter, and it was not met with a whole bunch of welcoming thoughts to me necessarily. So Nestor Cortes, you remember him. He was the guy that came over from the Yankees in the Devin Williams deal. He was the guy that was supposed to be that second guy with Freddie Peralta at the front of the rotation. Yep. Didn't have a great start, and then did have a really good start, and then pretty much got hurt, and that was it. He pitched 3 innings the other day in Nashville. Looked pretty good. Now, shutout baseball, struck out 4, allowed 1 hit. His next game will be tomorrow against the Timber Rattlers in the Bang for Your Buck night. Fans can enjoy $2 hot dogs, sodas, and domestic beers at the Timber Rattlers game. So second rehab start coming up tomorrow. Now that you've seen Brandon Woodruff, and it looks like he looks pretty good, and knowing that nasty Nestor Cortes is coming back, would you trade a starting pitcher? And if so, who would it be? Nicolay Law Fan Talking text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250. Now, the reason why this is a topic is because this is the tweet that I had Saturday. This rotation with Woodruff, Peralta, and Cortes when he comes back could be even better than it has been. What do you think a bunch of my responses said?
Probably not the happiest responses towards you.
It was, don't really like Cortes. Get rid of Cortes. Trade Cortes. We don't need Cortes. Get rid of Cortes. A lot of people just off the Nestor Cortes. And I understand he didn't have the best outing. I understand he's been a little bit inconsistent in his time in the big leagues and so forth. But this is what I need you to understand. He has the savior, Chris Hook, as his pitching coach. Back in spring training, I told Charlie, who is off today on his vacation, he'll be back tomorrow. I told Charlie, I said, man, this dude might be top 5 for Cy Young, something crazy like that. He might just go out there and have a career year with Chris Hook as his pitching coach now. He may really hit the pinnacle of his career with Chris Hook. Then the dude got hurt. It's like, Now, I'll tell you how much I love Nestor Cortes. He was out there in fantasy baseball. I picked him up yesterday. I'm getting ready. I'm going to have him on my fantasy baseball team. I had him at the beginning of the year, too.
Waiver wire steal?
Huh?
Waiver wire steal?
Well, maybe. But see, what I do is, because the playoffs are pretty much everything, I just watch injury rehab assignments and who's close and who's not, and then I just try to steal them and see if they end up being something at the end of the day. Because in fantasy baseball, everybody is so living in the now and don't care about the future. But in the reality, once you get to the playoffs, if you make a run in the playoffs, all this other stuff doesn't really matter at the end of the day. It's all about having the right team come playoff time to make that run. Anyways, enough about fantasy. So my question is, knowing Cortes is coming back, would you trade a starting pitcher? And if so, who? Nicolay Law Fan Talking text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250. Plus, Jack, I have it tweeted out as well, Facebook and Twitter at The Fan Milwaukee. You can sound off with a recorded voice message on the Odyssey app. So, what we are talking about right now is Peralta is your 1, right? Woodruff is your 2, more than likely, if he pitches like this.
Yep.
Cortes is your 3. Your 4 is probably going to be Priester, and Quintana is your 5. I know what you're saying. Where's Mizorowski? Well, that's the thing, you see. He's got a bunch of options. Priester has 1. Ain't sending him down. Not happening. So when Cortes comes back, odds are Mizorowski's going bye-bye back to AAA. And that's where he will reside until they want him, if they want him, come September, whether it be out of the bullpen or helping out in the playoffs, whatever the case may be. But he, more than likely, is going to get sent back down to AAA. The only way that he doesn't get sent back down to AAA is if you move one of these jokers and allow him the opportunity to stay up at the big league level. The trade deadline is coming up at the end of the month. So you have like three or so weeks left in order to pull something off. I will tell you, I am 1,000% completely fine with trading Quintana. See ya. First of all, it's a 1-year deal. It's cheap. Literally any team in this, small market or large market, that needs pitching, and there's a bunch of teams that need pitching, small market or large market, would take a veteran who's got postseason experience, that's been in the big spotlight before and has been on that stage, would take Quintana, I bet you. Now, are you going to get the biggest return on Quintana? No, probably not. You might get a prospect or something like that, but it's not going to be like a Devin Williams haul or something like that. You have to realize what you have. But Quintana, to me, makes the most sense because Priester you just got, and you're going to build around him more than likely going forward because they love them some Priester. So he's not going anywhere. Mizorowski, there's no chance that's happening.
No.
Now, Cortez, that's a different beast, right? Because Cortez is going to get 2 starts maybe before the trade deadline. Maybe 3, but I'm guessing like 2. So if Cortez only gets 2 or 3 starts, is that enough to then move off of Cortez? Because I think Cortez would bring you a bigger haul probably than Quintana would, but you're not going to have as much time to prove to the teams that he is healthy, he is right, he is fine. Because if he struggles those first couple of starts back from the rehab, remember it's been since like April, if he struggles those first couple of starts back, then what? Then you have no trade value with Quintana necessarily. Otherwise, you're trying to sell hope to the opposing teams. So for me, it's Quintana. I saw some people on my Twitter talking about Peralta. So here are some of the tweets. Andrew says, no faith in Cortez, trade him at the deadline. Box to wire, I don't trust Cortez. Okay, fine. Lance says, I'm sorry, but I'm trading either Cortez or Quintana. Scotty Kenneth says, Cortez sucks. These are all responses that I had on Saturday. People mad at me for tweeting out that I like the rotation of Woodruff, Peralta, and Cortez and how good this may be when he comes back. A lot of anti-Nestor Cortez fans. All right, let's get to the phones. Here we go. Nicolay Law Fan Talk, text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250. Matt in Madison, you're first up on Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. What's up, Matt?
All good. My 2 questions. Number 1, no, not really questions. If Mizorowski has another amazing game or 2 and the Miz is back as I hope it will be.
Yeah, he's got the Dodgers he's got the Dodgers here tomorrow, so we'll see how that goes.
Well, he had the Cubs and he did great.
He did? Yep.
So Peralta only has 1 year left on his deal, correct?
Next year is his last year, correct.
So Freddie Peralta's a sort of pitcher that they're probably not going to end up paying, especially with who they have coming up. So let's get the massive haul we can get for Peralta, and maybe even get from the Diamondbacks Suarez for third base or something like that, and some other stuff, and just move on. Because if Vladimir is doing what doing, if Peralta, you might as well train him.
Matt, I gotta let you go. Your phone's breaking up. Thanks for the call. Appreciate it. Don't be a stranger. So Matt Madison says trade Peralta. You're not going to be able to resign him anyhow after next season. You can get the biggest haul for Peralta. Just trade Freddie Peralta. Freddie Peralta, by the way, your lone all-star for the Milwaukee Brewers this season. Why are you talking about snubs? Nobody got snubbed. Nobody in this. There was no snubs. Like, they deserved 1. They got 1. It is what it is. We move forward. You want to talk about snubs? You can go to Chicago. Seiya Suzuki should have been in the game. Like, I don't see how he's not. And I understand, you don't want to have too many guys or whatever, but Seiya Suzuki has been an absolute beast this year to this point, and I think you could argue he probably should have been. And there are others that you can argue probably should have been. Yes, Jack?
Just fixing this camera.
Oh, I thought you were telling me. So this is the thing. So when we talk about Freddie Peralta, I don't think they're going to do that.
No.
Now, I don't disagree with your logic that, yes, you would get the most for Peralta. I get the logic. Makes sense. Absolutely. The problem is you have this little thing called Josh Hader still stuck in the back of this front office's memory. They are not going to do that again. There's no chance. Because when they moved Hader, they were sitting there with a position to win the division, thought they could win the division, thought changing the closer wouldn't be that big of a deal. They got more than enough guys. But it ripped the heart out of that locker room. And I think if you move Freddie Peralta at the deadline, you are going to rip the heart out of that locker room and clubhouse again. Like, you can't do it. While it makes sense, absolutely, you can't trade him. Now, Could you trade Freddie Peralta in the offseason? Right? Trade him at the winter meetings with a year left on his deal, a full season? Absolutely, you could trade Freddie Peralta at the winter meetings. And if I was guessing, I would guess that's when he's going to get traded, is at the winter meetings. But I feel quite confident that there is no chance they are trading this dude at the deadline if they got a shot at winning this division still. If we get to the deadline at the end of this month and they're within 3 games, 4 games of winning this division with a couple of months to go, no chance. There's no way. Now, if they're 7 back and it doesn't look like they're winning the division and they're looking at the wild card and they're a couple games back, then you've got to make that call. Like, how important is it for you to be in the playoffs if it's a wild card versus winning the division? Is there that much of a difference? If they view it the same way of getting the playoffs one way or the other, we don't care, we just got to get there, then they're still not trading Freddie Peralta at that point. The only way they trade Freddie Peralta is if in their minds they think it's over and they're not making the playoffs.
The bats are hot. They need pitching to go deep into the playoffs. They're not going to give up Peralta.
Well, the bats are hot now.
Yeah.
And see, that's the thing, because the bats weren't hot early. Now
True.
the bats have been hot for just over a month now, and they've been playing well. And the bottom of the order has been coming around as well, which obviously is a good thing at this point. You lose Rhys Hoskins. He's going to be headed to the IL, it sounds like. It sounds like they're going to call up Andrew Vaughn from Nashville. That's the guy that they got from the White Sox in the Savali deal. And I thought it was a great deal for the Brewers. And, of course, I was an island by myself there as well about that. But the reason why I thought it was a great deal was because I know how much talent Vaughn has. I remember how hyped he was coming out into the draft. I remember how hyped he was in Chicago as a prospect for the White Sox. If you look at his numbers right now at AAA Nashville, and again, there's similar amount of games by a game or two of what he had with a White Sox AAA team prior to coming to Nashville. His numbers are better than what they were in Nashville. His power's there. His batting average is better. His on-base percentage looks good. His slugging is the best it's been maybe in the minors. There might have been one other year. He's got like a 500 slugging percentage right now at this point down there at Nashville. So if Vaughn comes up and he produces something in the next week or two while Hoskins is out, that's a huge bonus pop for this offense as well. The other thing that I'm going to bring up, and this has nothing to do with pitching, but I was watching MLB Network last night for quite some time, and they were talking about guys that make sense for different teams and so forth, and they really didn't talk about the Brewers necessarily. I forgot who they were talking about, but they were talking about the fact that the Braves are about dead in water at this point, and how you might be able to go get a bat or two from the Atlanta Braves. That might make sense. And then they started talking about, well, if you need a DH, I'm thinking to myself, on the outside looking in to the Milwaukee Brewers, when you say, do the Brewers need a DH? You say, no, we have Christian Yelich. But if you could get a solid dude to be DH, a big-time hitter that can play DH, and that means you have to play Yelich in left field in the second half of the season for the last 2.5 months of the season. He's not played there all year. Played only a couple games, right?
Yeah.
So you've preserved his back. You've saved the wear and tear. But if I can get Yelich into that lineup now in left field, and now it's Yelich, Churio, and Frelick is your outfield, with all due respect to Isaac Collins, if that's your outfield, you feel pretty good. Then you get Isaac Collins an infield mitt and go, hey, son, you've played some third. We're going to try and get you be our utility guy like Bill Hall, and you're going to play some outfield, you're going to play some infield, give Caleb Durbin a day off here, maybe give Bryce Terang a day off at second, he's playing a little bit of second. Maybe we'll spot you some outfield starts. But Yelich plays more left field in the second half than he did in the first half, and hopefully, health-wise, you're good, and you're able to add an impact bat that way. We've all been focused on third base, but maybe the answer is to go out and get a DH guy and then let Yelich play left field. He's not incapable of playing left field, folks.
It's not a dumb idea.
I look at it, and I get very excited by the idea of what it might be. Now, Marcell Ozuna is the guy that they were talking about possibly moving. Marcell Ozuna has been god-awful as of late hitting the baseball, right? It's not even remotely close. But if we look at Marcell Ozuna this year, 238, 11 homers, 40 RBIs, 747 OBP at this point. Now let's look at the game logs. And Marcell Ozuna's in the last year of his deal. So you're not having to pay Marcell Ozuna all year long necessarily. In the month of April, he had 300, 424 on base, 525 slugging. This wasn't 2 years ago, Marcell Ozuna. This was in April, okay? In April, he did that. Then we get to May with Marcell Ozuna, and you look at his numbers there. 277, 415 on base, 436 slugging. Still really good. Still better than what we got. And then June, he hit rock bottom. 188, 263 on base, 287 slugging. God awful. This month, maybe it's gotten worse. 63 he's hitting, 250 on base, 63 slugging. This month right here, he is 1 for 16 in the month of July as we currently sit.
So it changes.
April was good. May was good. June was bad. July has become worse. Maybe it's lowered the asking price because he is struggling at this point. But to take Ozuna, who has had MVP-type years with huge power, to put him at American Family Field, to rent him for a couple of months, and he can play some first base. He can play DH. That's obviously where you want to leave him. You don't want him at first base because you have Rhys Hoskins. But you do that, that gives you a thumper to put in the middle of the lineup. I don't know, man. I think it changes everything having to do with this lineup. And if that means I have to give up Carlos Rodriguez, a pitching prospect at AAA, or whatever the case may be, another prospect or whatever, to get it done, to rent him, I think that's the way you go to get the bat versus trying to find a third baseman like Suarez.
I think that's the right move. You don't waste someone who's got chemistry on a team right now, and you get a bat because that's probably what you're worried about going into fall.
Absolutely have to have a bat, yes. A bat with power. See, that's the other thing. If you look around these teams they're going to face in the playoffs, they're all got power. Cubs, power. Dodgers, power. Those are the teams that you're going to have to deal with. And right now, you simply don't have the pop that you need to have in order to advance and play in the playoffs. And the one thing we've learned about the playoffs in the past is what? Power wins. Home runs win. That simple. It really is just that simple. All right, time for your fan weather forecast. 78 degrees and fair skies right now. Looks like clear skies for the remainder of tonight with a low of 61. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from the 1250 AM 105.7 FM The Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky with you, Jack Pembroke filling in for Charlie Usen. Craig Kishaw on FanDuel Sports Network, Wisconsin analyst. He'll join us coming up here in about 15 minutes. We'll talk to him about the Brewers, Brandon Woodruff. We'll give him my idea of Ozuna, and we'll also talk to him about the Milwaukee Bucks and all the moves they've been making. That comes up at 2:40. But up next, there's been some rumblings. There's been some connections of the Bucks and Chris Paul. There's been some talk. There's been some rumblings of the Bucks and Bradley Beal. You in favor of one or both coming to Milwaukee? Nicolay Law, Fan Talk and Text Line 414-677-1250. 414-677-1250. Facebook and Twitter at The Fan Milwaukee.
I'm going to go grab those for you.
Welcome back. Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up hot and fresh by Wendy's. Live from the 1250 AM on 105.7 FM, the Fan Studios. Powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky with you. Jack Pembroke filling in today for Charlie Utzon, who is off. He will be back tomorrow. Normally, Charlie's Sounds of the Day come up at 3:40. It'll be Jack's Sounds of the Day coming up today at 3:40. Coming up in about 10, 12 minutes, Craig Kashan, FanDuel Sports Network analyst, will join us talking about the Brewers and the Bucks as he does pre and post for both, so we can get his thoughts on both of those. I want to know this. Would you be in favor of Chris Paul and or Bradley Beal coming to the Bucks on a minimal contract? Veteran minimum. Would you be in favor? They're connected to both guys. If you were to do something along those lines, now all of a sudden that point guard position becomes our guy Porter Jr., Rollins, and Chris Paul. That shooting guard becomes Trent, A.J. Green, and Bradley Beal. Plus you have Gary Harris, who could be a guard, small forward. You have Kuzma at small forward as well. Taurean Prince. Then the power forward, we're talking Bobby Portis, Giannis. The center position, you bring in Miles Turner. Plus, you have what's the other center that only dunks the basketball?
Is it Sims?
Yes, Sims. Jericho Sims. I saw a video of Jericho Sims over the weekend. I retweeted it. Taking and hitting jumpers with his left hand.
Okay.
I am amazed.
We need that.
I've never even seen attempt a jumper, nonetheless take a jumper. So we'll see how this goes. Then I saw somebody else retweet a video from last offseason in 24, I want to say it was, and he was taking jumpers and hitting them with his right hand. But for whatever the reason, the man doesn't take shots in the game. Everybody says he can. He's just not good at it. He's just a dunker, a blocker, a rebounder. That's all he does. Well, if Jericho Sims can start taking some shots, even if they're mid-range shots, that really helps if he ends up, being that backup center like we all expect him to be behind Miles Turner. So that's essentially kind of what the roster would look like if you add Paul, if you add Beal, if you go that way, or if you add one or the other. I understand that Bradley Beal is not beloved by everybody. But understand this. His contract is what makes him unbecoming. But if the Phoenix Suns are going to buy him out or stretch him out or whatever they plan on doing with him, and he's going to become a free agent to go sign elsewhere, and he's not going to be looking necessarily for the money to go play elsewhere, and then Chris Paul is hinting at this possibly being his final year, if you're Giannis, and I know he was on a boat or whatever, partying in Greece, the videos are out there, but if you're Giannis, doesn't Chris Paul, Bradley Beal, myself, Miles Turner, and then Kuzma or whoever ends up playing the three, doesn't that sound like a team that can compete and do something in the East? I know Chris Paul's ancient, but Bradley Beal can still give you around 20 points a night, for sure. They don't have a second guy that can give you 20 right now. He doesn't exist. Miles Turner might give you 15 to 17 a night. Okay, now you start talking about, we can start talking about competing in the East if you add Beal. If you add Paul, that's maybe a luxury that can help teach Rollins. They can help teach Porter Jr. Paul's going to be a one-year deal. Beal will be a one-year deal. Neither one will be here more than a year. But you give Paul a chance to go compete for a championship, get to the finals coming out of the Eastern Conference. To me, it makes all the sense in the world. What about you? Nikolai Lough-Fan, talking text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250, Facebook and Twitter at The Fan Milwaukee. Would you be in favor of Chris Paul and or Bradley Beal coming to the Milwaukee Bucks? Jack Pembroke, what say you?
So why I like Chris Paul is we need to go back to a 2-on-2 type of system with Giannis, where it's a high pick and roll. The Damian Lillard having the ball as much as Giannis did not work out, whether it's injuries, it just didn't work. Chris Paul is a facilitator. He's going to be a facilitator and a passer first. He might give you, 10 to 12 points a game?
Right.
That's what we need right now.
See, this is the thing for Chris Paul. I want him to be a teacher, yes, but I also want him to be the distributor that Giannis doesn't have to initiate the offense 9 out of every 10 possessions or 7 out of every 10 possessions to set up the shooters. This roster that John Horst has put together, he is blessed to have some guys that can actually hit a 3-point shot and hit an outside shot. Like, it makes sense to why you would want a veteran point guard putting guys in the right places, having additional eyes and voice in the huddle with Doc Rivers of, Doc, I don't know if you've seen this or not, but this is what's going down, dude. We should attack him with this. Maybe Doc hadn't thought about it. Maybe that helps put him in a better situation in a playoff game or in a playoff series in a film session. Paul's been around forever. So I think if you went to San Antonio and said, hey, was it worth it? I think everybody in San Antonio would say, yeah, it was worth having him here. Like, I think everybody benefited from having him here. And I think that would be the same thing in Milwaukee to have him with these young dudes. But you would have to sell to him and Beal that this is not going to be a 6-seed team. You have to sell to both of them that, listen, if you both come, 1-year deals, Beal, you can then go hit it again after this year if you have a good year. Paul, you claim you're going to retire or have been hinting at retirement after this year. This gives you a chance to come out of the East and have a chance to win a championship. Now, I understand. Clippers are part of a 3-team deal earlier today. They get John Collins to put with Kawhi Leonard, to put with Brook Lopez, and those guys. I get it. That's attractive. But that is a brutal run to come through the West. That's brutal. If you come to Milwaukee, the road is a lot easier. Even if Lillard goes to Boston, he ain't going to be the same cat. Not this year. But if he comes back, we don't even know if he'll be back in time. Tatum, I don't think will be back in time. So you forget Boston. Halliburton ain't going to play. You can forget Indiana. The only thing you're talking about here is Cleveland and possibly New York. And New York is going with Mike Brown. So I don't fear that nearly as much as I did with Thibodeau. And then Cleveland, yeah, Cleveland's going to be the team you're probably going to have to beat to come out of the East. I feel good about that if I have Paul and Beal to go along with all my other young players.
The top 4 in the East is wide open. So you go get Chris Paul. I don't think we necessarily, you need a Bradley Beal. You'd like someone like him off the bench to give you shots.
Not off the bench. He's got to be a main scorer. Listen to me. He had Middleton, who got 20 a night.
Yeah.
Then he got Lillard, who got 25 to 30 a night. He's never had to do this by himself in any season. He's never, ever had to carry it by himself. Back before he became the guy, he had Jabari. And Jabari was going to be that guy. Remember, this was going to be Jabari's team. Jabari was supposed to be the lead dog, Jabari Parker. And then he blew out his knee multiple times, and that was the end of it. And that was a godsend for Giannis because that opened the door for him to come in and let him see if he could be the lead dog and take over this roster. If Jabari doesn't get hurt, I don't know if it plays out the same way.
From 3 to 5, we've been gifted with guys who can stretch the court. I think we've got better rebounding on paper and shooting. So to me, it's a smart deal to get a point guard that can get those guys in space open shots.
Right.
That's what we missed all playoffs.
Correct. Yep, no doubt about it. He is Jack Pembroke. Catch him Wisconsin Sports Weekends with Charlie Usen from 9 to 11 here on The Fan every Saturday. Asking you, would you be in favor of Chris Paul and or Bradley Beal coming to the Milwaukee Bucks? And I understand that a lot of you don't like Chris Paul because he's old. I'd rather go with Ryan Rollins and I'd rather go with Kevin Porter Jr. That's cool. But you're going to go along with the bumps and the inconsistencies that happen when you have those guys. You just are. They're going to be inconsistencies. They're going to be the ups and downs and so forth. Between those two guys, Rollins is the safer bet. I feel it's most safe with Rollins running the offense. As far as explosion and wow ability and being able to give you 40 on a given night, Porter Jr. is that guy more than Rollins, right? If I said, hey, somebody's got to step up and give me a big night of what they've got right now currently, I would think Porter's the guy that's going to get you that big night outside of Giannis. But there's nobody that you can look at and go consistently, can you get me 22 a night or 23 a night? Can you be that guy? I don't think they have that guy right now outside of Giannis, and they desperately need that guy. And if it's Bradley Beal on a 1-year deal, that's cheap. That's the route I go, even if it means Gary Trent and A.J. Green may not get as many minutes as y'all want them to have. I'm okay with that because you have to have somebody that can do it consistently. Gary Trent was great in the postseason, but Gary Trent wasn't that same player. It was kind of ups and downs throughout the year, right? And that's okay. That's why he's not an all-star. That's why he's not that guy. And Beal, if you go back to Middleton and Beal during their career, when so many people wanted Middleton gone because of his contract and so forth, how many times on social media did you see player A stats, player B stats? Who would you rather have? And then player A would always be Middleton's and player B would be Beal's. Middleton's numbers would be a little bit better, and then they'd say, oh, player A, well, that's Chris Middleton. Now shut up, right?
Sure.
That's what it would be. And everybody would be like, I don't care if he's got better numbers. I'd still rather have Bradley Beal. That was a fight forever among Bucks Twitter and Bucks Nation about who they'd rather have. Well, here you go. Now you're at the end on a one-year deal for Bradley Beal. And to me, it makes a lot of sense in order to get that done. David tweets at the fan, Milwaukee at Sparky Radio. I'm normally pretty conservative in my views on this stuff, but you must do whatever you can to bring Beal in. On a Lightning contract, this team is now a legit contender in the East, and Beal will respect Giannis. I don't know. I don't know. I to be honest with you, I don't know the relationship between him and Durant. I have no idea. I don't know the relationship between him and Devin Booker. I have no idea. So maybe he was cool with those two guys and they had no issues. But the whole Giannis thing, I would assume so. But the one thing Beal wants is he wants a chance to go be that two, right? Or that one on a team to get his numbers back up to get him another big contract. That's what he's looking for.
Exactly.
Let's see. Another Twitter account. Why would you need Chris Paul? Between KPJ and Rollins, they are fine. Plus, Rollins will run the point. As far as Beal, they don't need specifically him, but someone that can help make up for Dame's production. See, and I just don't agree with the whole Rollins KPG. They're fine. Listen, if this is about competing for a higher playoff spot, if this is about trying to figure out how to win the East, just fine isn't enough, right? It's not. If you're competing for the 7 to 10 slot, and you're like, hey, with what we've got, we'll easily be a 7 or an 8. We'll be in the play-in tournament. Maybe get a 6 if somebody gets hot. Okay, if that's the goal, then being fine is okay. But when time is running up against you here, and you're trying to figure out how to get Giannis to compete for as many finals as he can before he gets out of here, whenever that is, or if he retires, whatever, then it's got to be more than just, well, that's okay. I just think if you call Giannis, and I know him and Chris Paul had their issues this season, I just think if you call Giannis and go, hey, dog, I think I can get Chris Paul and Bradley Beal as your starting backcourt. And that leaves us KPG, Rollins, Trent, AJ Green, all coming off the bench with all that firepower off the bench. What say you? And if he goes, hell yeah, sweet, here are their numbers. Call him and let's see if we can get this done. And then you go. Now, if he says, absolutely not, I'm not playing with that idiot Chris Paul, screw him.
Then you pivot.
Okay, well then fine. Then we're going to go with the point guards you got, and we're fine with that. You like them both, so that's fine. Then we won't get Chris Paul. What do you think about Bradley Beal? Have that conversation and go from there. You got to go with what he wants. If he don't want to play with Chris Paul, then the conversation's over. We're not getting Chris Paul. Coming up next, Craig Kishan, FanDuel Sports Network. Wisconsin Bucks and Brewers analyst is pre- and post game for both on FanDuel Sports Network. He'll join us straight ahead on Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from 1250 AM 105.7 FM The Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook, 6,500 square feet, 2,000 square foot center screen. It's amazing. I always say reserve ahead of time. Why? Because that place gets packed, man. Packed. Now, they got seating for like 250, 300 people. Lots and lots of seating, no doubt. 2 levels, all of that. But I'm telling you, it gets full. They have the Potawatomi Sportsbook Kitchen, unmatched. Homemade desserts and pastries, 48 beers on tap, dozen different specialty cocktails, hamburgers, wings, salads, you name it, they got it. All-day brunch at the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Over 30 sporting events at one time you can watch, and you're going to make friends. Maybe lifelong friends. Because some of y'all are going to be rooting for one thing, then some of y'all are going to be rooting against that same thing. You're going to start, booing and cheering and all that stuff. You're going to have the time of your life. Check it out, Potawatomi Sportsbook. Go to potawatomi.com/sportsbook to reserve your seat ahead of time. There's a nominal fee. Goes towards your food and beverage. Potawatomi.com/sportsbook to reserve your seat today.
And a drive into left field. That'll get a run in. Plenty. It is up, and it is going to be gone. Jackson Chourio goes deep. His 15th. It's 2-0. Slider that backed up over the inside part of the plate, and Chourio crushed it.
He did crush it. Chourio counts for all 3 runs. 2-run homer there. Sac fly to score all 3 runs for the Brewers as they get a victory in Brandon Woodruff's return to the big leagues after a 2-year hiatus after that shoulder injury that he had, and the recovery, the rehab, and everything that goes along with it. Woodruff gets his first batter in the first game back, and you're thinking to yourself, okay, man, come on, dog. Don't give up a big inning here. Come back. Let's have some success. Get through a first inning, all good. No worries.
Catching Woodruff for the first time ever. 1-2 pitch. Struck him out. Welcome back, Big Woo.
At that point, you knew everything was going to be all right. Levering on the call there, FanDuel Sports Network. Joining us now from FanDuel Sports Network, he is pre- and post-game host for Brewers and Bucks, Craig Kishan. Follow him on Twitter at Craig Kishan. Craig, thanks for coming on, man. I appreciate it.
Sparky, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing much better after that Brandon Woodruff outing yesterday. You know, the one thing that I found amazing was how he was getting stronger and the velocity was going up the more he pitched in that game. From the first inning to the time, he got through 6, and he got through 6 very efficiently, never even got to 80 pitches. That was a thing where, as he's going along, all of a sudden he's getting 95, he's getting 96, and you realize that this is a little bit different than maybe Jacob Mizorowski, who his last start, he's throwing 100 or so, and by the time he leaves, he's around 95 or 96, and his velocity has kind of gone the other way.
Well, I'll tell you what, the comparisons to the Miz versus the Big Woo is the anticipation and the excitement that we had going into yesterday's game. I think, you think about this, Sparky, and during the regular season, around here, we don't get all pumped up about a single pitcher making a debut or anything, and we've had 2 in less than a month with these 2 guys. So to me, that means if you've been around here long enough, like you and I have, and a lot of Brewer fans, this is only a huge thing to look forward to during this playoff run. I mean, we're already in the second half of the season. The All-Star break's coming up, and then after that, it's like all systems go. And what Woodruff delivered yesterday, nobody would have expected that. Nobody. The efficiency was off the charts for a guy that hasn't pitched on the major league level since 2023. But he's been around a long time. He's a veteran. He's calm. He's cool. He's genuine. And it was really something to watch. And hopefully we're going to see very similar outings from him coming up starting this weekend when he gets his first start in front of the home fans.
The other thing that was pretty impressive to me was the fact that he didn't know anybody he was facing. I mean, this Marlins team, it wasn't like he'd seen a lot of these guys before and knew how to attack him. He talked about the idea of he watched a couple of games to try and figure out a way to go about it, but he really wasn't sure even going in how this whole thing was going to play out, and to kind of go with it on the fly and then having multiple pitches working was even the most impressive thing.
Well, he mixed everything up so well, and that was the thing that if he was going to have his command back from really the first pitch, which he did, he was just going to be able to mix it up against a bunch of hitters who not only he didn't know, but they didn't know him either. Let's face it, that's a pretty young group over there.
Yep.
But I know this, the one thing that he did observe for the first 2 games of that series is those Marlins hitters were bringing it early in the count. So they were aggressive, and just the ability for him to be able to really mix up all of his pitches. And then, like you mentioned, he indeed did get higher velo as the game went, but he got higher velo at the right time too. I mean, when he hit, I think he topped out at 96, maybe 98 once. But I mean, they were for the out pitch on that high 4-seamer, and it was a thing of beauty, I guess, just to see him mix everything up the way he did. I mean, these guys, these Marlin guys yesterday, they were stepping out of the batter's box. You could see them shaking their head going, I don't know what to expect next. And they couldn't, and they didn't. and they struck out. So that was the deal. It was pretty fun to watch.
You know, he adds that cutter to his pitch repertoire, and I think he's got a sweeper that he used limitedly. I don't know if he even threw that yesterday or not, but I mean, from that perspective, he went away with 4 pitches and he came back with 6. That is a noticeable difference. Even guys that have seen him haven't seen all of this.
No, and I think part of that is he's probably just not going to have that dominant velo that we're used to seeing before the shoulder injury. I mean, if he's going to bring it upper 90s on a consistent basis, I'd be very surprised. And I think right now the plan that they had during his rehab and coming back, we got a full dose of that yesterday. And if anybody can pull it off, it's going to be Woody. And I mean, he's been throwing since the spring, so he's had time to work on some of this stuff. It's just whether or not it's going to be as effective as you want it to be at this level, and I think it's going to be. I think we saw that yesterday.
Talking with Craig Kashan, FanDuel Sports Network, pre- and post-game host for the Brewers and the Bucks. Follow him on Twitter at Craig Kashan. He joins us here. Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's on the Fan. Steve Sparky Fifer with you. Let's switch gears. Let's go over to the Milwaukee Bucks. Let's talk about the shock factor that you had on the Miles Turning signing and then the stretch and release of Damian Lillard.
Well, it was a shocker, all right. But you know what? Here's my take on this. People ask me all the time, what do you think the Bucks are going to do? Over the years, what do you think they're going to do to acquire talent? How are they going to piece things together? And really between both of our Milwaukee teams we're talking about here today, you really and truly just never know how creative they're going to be, what kind of strategy they're going to use, how much they're really consulting with Giannis or not. But that was a stunner the other day. I never would have expected this. Look, I'm not a money guy when it comes to pro sports.
Right.
I don't know how these guys can keep up on it. It's a very, very difficult thing to do, but to be able to pull this off, and everyone's like, oh, what are they doing? That's ridiculous. They're just, they're going to, not have enough money to do certain things or whatever. They figure out a way. And to me, you're paying Dame anyway. The way they handled it and then opened things up to get Miles Turner and to make sure that Giannis is going to be teamed with a far more athletic team than we've seen in the last few years. That alone, to me, that speaks volumes. And to me, it makes them an upper-level competitor in the East once again.
They re-signed Ryan Rollins, or at least that was the report that it's going to happen. 3-year deal. Not that much money, $3.5–4 million a year. Option there in year 3. So now you have him and Kevin Porter Jr. back together again at point guard. But there's also rumblings of a Chris Paul connection here that would have to come on a veteran minimum deal. There's rumblings of Bradley Beal and the Bucks after he gets bought out by Phoenix too. Your thoughts on one or both of those guys possibly coming to Milwaukee and either fits you like or don't like?
Well, I mean, I don't mind either one of those two. I mean, clearly they're two different players. I mean, when I think of Chris Paul right away, I'm just thinking of a guy that can still give you some valuable minutes, but also has the option or ability to help mentor a guy like Ryan Rollins and even Kevin Porter Jr. He hasn't been in the league that long, and he hasn't played on real competitive teams either, like he is now, and he's going to be counted on. So I don't know though if Chris Paul is going to want to do that or how that really works with with a guy like that that's probably done it several times in his career, but maybe he doesn't want to do that anymore. I don't know. Bradley Beal gives you points, man. I mean, this guy is still a scorer. I personally would like to see this offense go by how it is designed here right now, and that's everything is through Giannis. Giannis, running the point. We've gotten doses of it. I think it just makes sense not to force somebody else with a bigger role to do anything but let this guy do his thing. So, from that respect, I wouldn't mind seeing Bradley Beal in some points, but I also think Giannis is going to have a greater ability and better success distributing the ball to everybody who's on the floor with them. I think there's a great opportunity for better balanced scoring on a consistent basis for this team with Giannis running the show completely. And I'm not sure they necessarily need another 20-point score. I mean, they may get 6 or 7 guys scoring in double figures every night. To me, those were the best games that they had and the most success a year ago.
He is Craig Kashan, FanDuel Sports Network analyst. Follow him on Twitter at Craig Kashan. I forgot a Brewers question, so we're going to wrap it up with a Brewers question. I'm going back because this came up at the end of the first segment, I guess it was, of the hour. I was watching MLB Network last night, and they were talking about, guys that could work for different teams and so forth. And this player wasn't connected to the Brewers, but I started thinking about things. They've rested Christian Yelich pretty much the whole first half, barely have played him in the outfield, but a handful of games in left field. Everybody talks about, they need a third baseman. Marcell Ozuna from the Braves isn't a third baseman. He's a DH. He's a first baseman a little bit, but more just designated hitter. He's been brutally bad. 1 for 16 in July. He wasn't good in June. Had a great April. Had a good May. He's in the last year of his contract. If you were the Brewers, would you try to go get an Ozuna to put a DH and let Yelich play more left field in the second half to add an impact bat that way versus trying to find a third baseman that's an upgrade over Durbin, which is going to be slim pickings probably?
No, I wouldn't myself. My take on the whole DH thing, I think Sparky, we got kind of a dose yesterday of where the second half of the season could go, and I wouldn't be surprised if we saw much more Yelich out in left field. And I wouldn't be surprised if we saw much more of William Contreras DHing. They need to get his bat going. He has caught just about every game in the first half of the season. We know that. I don't know if anybody is durable enough to keep that up. But the most important thing for him right now, this team needs his offense, and his offense has been pretty much non-existent. And I think he's on the cusp of returning close to that form. But I think he needs better opportunities to, be off his feet, be a little more well-rested. He pours so much time during the afternoon of a night game on the field, hitting in the batting cage. But we haven't seen those results, nothing even close to last year. So that, to me, I think would be number one for what we could possibly see. I don't know about signing a guy just to DH right now.
I just think they need a huge bat with some power because when you get to the playoffs, normally these teams with a bunch of power win, and this team is severely lacking power in my opinion. And if third base isn't going to be a deal where there's like 3 or 4 guys and the Brewers can get one of them because it doesn't appear to be that way right now, I don't know how else they're going to add a power bat to this lineup.
Well, they do need more power in that lineup. There's no question about that. But, Joey Ortiz is having a hard time over at shortstop as well. So he's had very little success over there offensively. To me, I wouldn't be surprised if they made some kind of a move at either position over there. And I'm not sure which one that would be here at this point. But they definitely could use another bat. But this team, too, is getting awfully creative in some other types of ways, too. So I'm not sure about the whole trade thing with these young guys. And the other thing, I'm not sure this team can win the division, Sparky. Maybe right now their goal is to make the playoffs. And
no,
they stop,
man. Come on. We ain't talking about no damn wild card. We're 4 games out of the first place in the division. We can catch the traitor and his team down there. Don't worry. They'll fall apart. We got this, Craig. Come on, man. You're killing me.
All right, man. I love your enthusiasm. I'm in on that.
We'll be fine. I'm not worried about it. I'm saying we like it's us, but I'm telling you, everything will work itself out. They got to get another bat, though. Craig, thanks so much for coming on, man. I appreciate you.
You got it. Take care.
Take care. There he is, Craig Kashan, FanDuel Sports Network analyst, does pre- and post-game for Brewers and Bucks. Follow him on Twitter at Craig Kashan. No. I am not giving up on no damn division. We're in the beginning of July. No, not doing it. And I'm not giving up on U.S. Cellular. I've had them for over a decade. You should have them as well. And if you do have them, boy, are they hooking you up right now. Us Days is back and running till July 16th. Their exclusive event to celebrate loyal customers with unique offers. This includes big discounts on new phones and tablets, plus other giveaways and events like parking lot parties. And these parking lot parties are happening all over the country. I've seen pictures and videos. Some have DJs going in the parking lot, got dance parties going on. Some got food trucks out there. Some got bags tournaments going on in their parking lot parties. All you got to do is go to uscellularparty.com, uscellularparty.com, and find out where the nearest cool deal is going on around you, the nearest U.S. Cell store. Go do it today. And in fact, earlier today, I think it was today, maybe it was yesterday. I get all confused by all the text messages I end up getting. But right here, it's this morning, 10:50. TikTok, it's Us Day giveaways. Clock today only. Score $350 off any smartwatch plus 6 months of free connected watch service. Giveaways are limited, so don't wait. And then it tells you when to claim, and you have to click on a link and all this stuff. You can only get it if you're a customer. So I'm sure all of you got the same thing. This is what I'm talking about. I've been with U.S. Cellular this long because I don't get in fights with customer service. Everything is taken care of. No disagreements. I had an issue with an LG phone once. They took care of everything. I got a different phone. Everything was fine. It's no brainer. U.S. Cellular, do it today and you will not regret it. Coming up next, how much of a measuring stick series is this for you against the Dodgers? Big series coming up tonight. Brewers and Dodgers at American Family Field. Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from the 1250 AM 105.7 FM The Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Check us out on YouTube, baby. YouTube.com/@TheFanMilwaukee. Use the @ symbol @TheFanMilwaukee on YouTube.